In this video, we're going to be talking about how student athletes can be more productive and have a good, productive life in school as well as an athlete. I've been getting a good amount of questions on this, so I'm going to give you 5 tips to help you out. Tip number 1. First and foremost, you got to acknowledge that you have less time because you're dedicated to spending time after school, sometimes before school, during school, to practice with your team. I used to be part of track and field and cross country, so I know how that is. So what you're going to have to do is use the time you have more advantageously, and to do that you need to be able to really jump into schoolwork right after you get home from school. The second tip though is one about optimism and positivity. You might be sad about that. You might be like, oh, I have less time. Well, you have to change your mindset. The second tip is really about realizing that, hey, you may have less time, but most average students are wasting all that time anyways. When they get home, they're just going to be playing video games and goofing off and procrastinating, and some of them skip their homework assignments. So by the time you get home, 1 or 2 hours or 3 hours later, you're probably not that far off from where they are. And so once you get home, if you start doing a little bit of schoolwork and studying, you're already kind of getting ahead of them because they're just goofing off, procrastinating, and then they forget to even do homework assignments or study. So tip number 3 is what I like to call the nibble technique. You can call it the snowball technique, whatever. But essentially, if you start from scratch and then you ramp up to like 2-3 hours of studying, that's not going to work. That's going to be too much. And I've learned the hard way that it's much easier to tell yourself, oh, I'm going to get home and study for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And then once you've built that as a habit, you can increase it by 5 minutes a day or so, or whatever, and 5-10 minutes, and all of a sudden now you've got all this extra ramp up time where you've gotten used to it and it doesn't seem that hard. And after a few weeks or months, you've gradually built up to something much harder and it doesn't seem that bad. Number 4, I've kind of hinted at this all along the video, but I believe it's best to start as soon as you can, once you get home, rather than at the end of the day. The reason being is because if you start at the start, then you have something to build off of rather than the end of the day, where, you know, you probably experienced this yourself, but at the end of the day, it's so much easier to procrastinate and then forget it, or there's just less time. So if you figure out it takes a lot longer to finish something, then you have to go to sleep, or school is about to start, or now you're up late and you have less energy because you have lack of sleep. So it's just so much easier to procrastinate and skip assignments and study less and do homework. Start your day with a little bit of studying. And then tip number 5, I think this one's really important. Hang around the athletes, the teammates who do well in school. Now, I know sometimes you may not connect with them as big fans or friends, and you connect with other people more. I'm not saying you have to make that person your best friend, but find people within your athlete group or even outside of that in your different classes that you can at least study, examine, hang around more, or just get in their head, because there's certain micro nuances to how they interact and talk and think about school. The way they react when they get a test grade back, the way they react when they hear about a homework assignment or studying, and behave, that you should be able to translate off of. Now, that doesn't mean everything they say is right or the best optimal way, but usually you can pick out the things that really start to work well and use that in your own life. And guess what? The people you hang around are the people you become. So if you hang around the athlete who's also doing well in school, you're probably going to be doing better. There's all sorts of nuances, how close they sit up front in class, how they take notes in class, that you can easily glean off of. And that's like 17 tips in one. So that's it for this video. I mean, I could talk about this for an hour, but you guys love the short form listicle videos, and I got to keep my retention rate up. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. See you later.